Hello, welcome to today's astrology study group. And it's always so fun to just dive into different parts of astrology. It's endlessly fascinating for me. I just love looking at different parts of it, and I like preparing for this, and I like bringing different things. I want to do a few things probably in the future. Maybe bring some different books or people or websites that are really cool. We've already shared a few. I really like, the Astrology Cafe. That's a fun one. And Astrodienst is a good one. But there's some other cool ones, and different books I'll show you and do screen shares. But anyway, I was thinking about how people get along with themselves, and for a long time I look at somebody's ascendant in their sun sign, because that's the mask you wear to the world and how you want people to see you. And then your true sun, I mean, the sun sign itself, your true nature. And how do they get along? And I've looked a lot at those, and I'm intrigued when I see the inconjuncts, um, because that's somebody that is projecting a whole different image than what is inside of themselves. So I want to take it a little step further. And this is something that we could do with, you could do with anybody. You could do, of course, with yourself. We'll look at ourselves. And I got a little chart here that we'll look at, and I'll show you how to do that. And it'll be obvious. And then we'll just go look at some charts. And I think I'll post this in the bottom, so maybe you can copy it. I made this, little chart that you can print out, like that. So anyway, I just put me because it was easy, because I'll show you some other ones, but it was just, I can remember it all. So, sun, moon, ascendant, Mercury, Aries. I have Aries sun, Aquarius moon, Leo ascendant, Mercury and Taurus. And then you just go down the polarity, and for lack of space, I'm just calling, the masculine or feminine or barren or fertile. I'm going to call it yang and yin, because yang is masculine and barren and outward and loud and noisy and bright, and yin is receptive and fertile and inward and feminine and quiet, and all that. So Aries is yang, Aquarius is yang, these are, of course, Leo is yang, and Taurus is yin. So I definitely have an abundance of that outward polarity. And then might as well look at the elements. I want to focus more on polarity, but we're just going to look at the whole thing for a second. You see fire, air, fire, earth. So I got a little excess fire there, and then the air and the earth kind of help fan it and ground it. But that's there, so you can see that extra. And then the quality: cardinal, fixed, fixed, fixed. Whoa! So it's like heavy on the yang, right, and heavy on the fixed. So that's kind of like Leo sort of energy, if you had to kind of add that up. So sun, moon, and ascendant are all yang. So that part of the personality gets along with themselves. Like, don't have much trouble getting along with yourself. It's like what you see is what you get. The Leo ascendant is very much like an Aries sun. There's that outward and fire energy. So that's kind of same. And then the Aquarius energy, sextiles one, and it would oppose the other. But that gets interesting. You can look at those dynamics. And then the interesting one on this, I'm going to say, I'm just on this example, is because there's at least one that can balance the others, that kind of holds the others in check. That Taurus, yin Mercury. So the Mercury now, is the mind. We got the sun, we got the moon, the ascendant, and then all jiving along. And then Mercury's like, well, wait a minute, hold on. And this is funny that it's the mind is now slowing things down and making it settle down and ground and be earthy. I think for me, a lot of times, this has saved me a lot. I have been so sometimes impulsive, with all that outward fire. But I tend not to put my foot in my mouth because my brain doesn't think that fast. But sometimes I do. But anyway, that to me is kind of a godsend, you know. So I like that there's that. And when you look at people, which we're going to go look at some charts in a little bit, and then and use this. So this is pretty basic astrology. I'm gonna think that you can remember this. And if you have problems with the polarity, just remember every other sign is you know, positive negative, male female, however you want to think it, barren fertile. Starting with Aries is outward, like you can see. And then you have the elements, which are, you know, fire, earth, air, and water. And then you have the qualities, you know, cardinal, fixed, mutable. It's like they mean beginning, middle, end, basically. Okay, that's our rehash of that. So let me give you a new share. We'll go look at these charts here first. Okay. I had a few pulled up because I just thought I would have some kind of successful people, maybe ones that were a little troubled. And I can't remember everybody's drama, but I know there was a little troubled here with Whitney Houston. And it looks like I have a good birth time for her because I have a time. When I have something real close to noon, like if I set it at 11:59 or 12:01, you know, that lets me know that that's not a good birth time, unless like my own. I was born then, you know, then I would have to note that. But that this when I have an actual time on there, I know that that's a good ascendant. Okay, so we have a Pisces ascendant. Let me get my little notes here. Don't forget going over these. So we got a Pisces ascendant. Let me just put that in here. We've got a Leo sun. We've got, where's Mercury's always close? Mercury's ahead. It's in Virgo. Mercury, Virgo. And where's her moon? Moon's in Aries. All right, so we've got, so we got a yang, a yin, and a Virgo's a yin. Okay, so sun and moon are both outward, right? So we have the sun in the sun in Leo is kind of a wide, well, no, it's a trine, and a perfect trine. Like we got 1 degree off trine to her moon. So that, you know, you can see that like her outer self and her inner self were like very fiery, you know, real fired up. But her image of herself to the world was like, there's where I think there's the trouble is. Um, and then look at her Mercury, right, you know, opposing her ascendant. So like her mind, there was some conflict there, you know, because the other two are yin, you know, feminine signs, and we have this opposition with Mercury right on the ascendant. um Anything I think like that to me is, if I see a planet right opposing the ascendant in the seventh house, that's always tied to somebody else. You know, so here she's taking um her mind is tied into listening to somebody else or working, you know, it's like I don't know, you know, exactly, producers or people behind the scenes or anything, but you know, it's like right there. And then in Virgo, you know, there's all that busyness opposing that real sensitive ascendant. You know, and then look at you know, her vertex and Pluto's all over there as well, and then Mars, you know, Mars in Libra, but in the seventh house, a real big seventh house. um Big, you know. So so there is, I think, the trouble. I don't want to take the whole time to just take it up with that, but then you can just kind of see how something opens it up. But there is the conflict. Okay, there's a little conflicted one. Let's look at, I think you can see this. Let's go to Johnny Carson. I'm just going to make sure that you can see this one. I'm just going to go get it from here. Okay, I don't know if it switches screens sometimes. Okay, here's Johnny Carson, a old, hopefully people know him, but he was like one of the original late night TV guys. Yeah, he, you know, had the show where he'd do the monologue, and he was actually very funny. He was hysterical, and he interviewed great people. After, and then him, and then what was it? Jay Leno took over, and then I think they've gone downhill. Anywho, he's got um, everything clustered around this first house. I mean, like, look at the, okay, sun, sun in Libra. Let me get him here. Sun, Libra sun, right in the 12th house. Oh, wow, interesting. Um, Mercury in Scorpio and rising in Scorpio. Scorpio. Wow. And then where's his moon? Um, boop, 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 boop. Capricorn. Wow. You wouldn't think that would make somebody funny and on the ball like that, but maybe, I mean, with the Mercury, I mean, he was so quick witted. I would have think that would have been in Gemini, but that may be just rambling, maybe being real focused like that, and being right on the ascendant. People saw him as being a real focused, attentive. I mean, he was funny, he was articulate. Um, so yeah, maybe that's where that came from. And then, Saturn is there too, close by, giving that structure to his mind, being real focused, and he had to remember those things. He was also a drummer. I remember that's the first time I saw that. I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, whoa, check that out. So, being focused. Wow. Okay, and then the sun right there. Sun, anything close by like that's going to be a different mode altogether. So what do we got? We've got a cardinal sign, and then the moon was cardinal. Um, so we have outward, inward, inward, inward. So yeah, we got the sun being the outward cardinal Libra. He interviewed people, on his show. He was a great, talk show host, and he was very sensitive to them. And then there's his Mars. They're both of them in that other people sign, in Libra, in that sensitive Piscean house. And he would just pick up on stuff. He was uncanny. Um, so yeah, very feminine and receptive. I think, it's like he's got, okay, cardinal sign, cardinal, and then fixed. I think he got along with himself really well. I mean, we've got, the sun, um, is kind of muted, but it's above the horizon. And then we have that, that nice yin, rising, and the Mercury and the moon, all kind of getting in with that, and then underneath that showy sun. So yeah, that I think, even though that we got that one different one, I think to me that makes that sense, because they're, we got those yin planets, and those are, the moon is sextile, his first house planets there, Saturn, and definitely Saturn, and then close to Mercury, and so is Jupiter. Just bringing that in. That's what brought maybe that big success, and then being in that third house of communications. There we go. Okay, moving on. Let's look at another chart. Whoops, why did I do that one? I wanted to do, let's see what to look at. Let's look at Elvis Presley. I want to make sure that you see that one. Elvis. Okay, there's Elvis. We've looked at him a few times. Okay, he's got a Sag rising. And then he's got all, and okay, and then he's similar. He's got his outward. Okay, I know he's got an outward rising sign where people see him as being bigger than life. Wow, that Sagittarian rising. And then we have the sun, Mercury, and the moon all in receptive signs. Sun and Mercury are in Capricorn, so he worked. He worked that singing. The sun, the moon right there. I mean, Mercury right next, close to the sun, could indicate that vocal talent, and he worked, and it's in his second house. Um, and then the moon over there in that real receptive Piscean sign. So we have a lot of receptive feminine influence, but I think the outward Sagittarian was kind of conflicting. To me, this seems conflictive, because now we have this organized Saturn ruled Sun and Mercury, and then now the moon is going off in spaceland, wanting to drown itself in drugs and alcohol or whatever, and then Sagittarius wants to be off finding, the adventures. So I think both of those were pulling this, against this the stable Sun and Mercury combo, in Venus, that's a kind of stable, but then we had this disparaging wanderlust personality, and really soul searching and drowning, with that Piscean moon. Yeah, and then is that, no, it's not. It would be like almost trining the vertex and stuff over here, because that's almost to the next sign. All right, moving on. Let's look at Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan. Let's look at him. He was also an interesting person. I would think slightly troubled. And look, another sad rising. Out doing his thing out there in the world. Um, but now we have the sun and Mercury. Oh, look at Venus here too. All in mutable signs. Well, look at there. I mean, now that's all yang yang yang, or yang 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 and yin, kind of like me. We had that one. The moon is except it was my Mercury, but he's got the moon. His moon now is in Taurus. So he's got this grounded, earthy moon in this wanderlust, outwards, open, honest, frank, seeking ascendant. And then over here he's got, let's see, would this be that's all still in his sixth house, I think. 20 degrees. Nope, this is above it. Yeah, so Mercury, again, he's another one with Mercury. It looks like Mercury up here. I'd have to maybe run it with a different system just to see. But anyway, this is all, over here in mutable signs, and he's all mutable, and then the one Earth. So interesting. I think he got along with himself for the most part, but I think a Sagittarian, rising with something, like the Gemini sun and Mercury would just add to that. I think it would just make him be like hold his own kite string. But I think there's the moon, his emotions, maybe brought him down to earth somewhat, or maybe brought him that troubledness, because he had that, he wanted to be secure emotionally, but he was just kind of too wild to do that. And it was troubling for sure. All right, let's see. I think I want to see if we can get some more people. I just loaded those up, but let's see, this program has quite a few. Let's look at some more political figures. Let's look at Donald. Is he under D, Donald? Oh, let's look at, no, because I don't have his birth time. Let's look at Donald Fagan. We'll just look at him. Steely Dan guy. I don't have a good birth time, but let's just look at his other side because it's interesting. Because he's a heavy Capricorn. That's what I thought. Look at Sun, Moon, and Mercury all in Capricorn. So no matter what, what that is, that's all going to be heavy in his life, a heavy influence, whatever that his rising would be. All right, let's find. I was going to look at Trump. I think you can see that one. Let's look at him. Done. I think you can see these. Let me just do this just in case you can't. I'll make sure later. All right, here's Donald Trump. He's the Leo rising. Oh, at the nth degree. Look at that. I mean, he just held on. Whoa. I couldn't imagine him if he wasn't, but I mean, he'd be, well, anyway. Sun in that mutable sign, Gemini, and then he's got the mind, his Mercury in Cancer. So we have a yang, yin, yang, and then the moon in Sagittarius. Yang. So we've got yang, yin, yang, yin. So it's like half and half on him. All right, let's kind of look at this a little closer and look at Mars, just like right there on his ascendant, but it's in the 12th house. Interesting. And Pluto in the 12th house. All right, so the sun and his rising are both, that masculine outward energy, and we can see that, he's he's at ease with himself, with who he is. He's what you see is what you get. He's like, I'm like this, I'm frank, I'm honest, I'm there, I'm it. The rising is the same kind of sun energy. I mean, he's busy, being a Gemini, he thinks a lot. I mean, and look at that close right to that north node. It's his destiny there. And then Uranus, he's an independent kind of person for the most part. I'm not quite sure where all the stubbornness comes from, but maybe the Mars in the Leo rising and Pluto, they're, all fixed signs, but he's not heavily fixed sign, just that. Okay, anyway, so then we've got that yin mind, that it's in that feeling sign of Cancer, and then we have the outward moon. So outward, outward, outward. So his outward nature, is try. His moon is like trining his rising sign and his Mars. You know, it's it's pretty close in that degree. So that gets along his inner nature. Um, it's the mind one. That's the different one. It's the Mercury here. His mind is going to be maybe it's in um, it's a caring mind. It's into people. It's into country. It's into home. It's into Cancerian things. It's into a feeling kind of thing, no matter what. Okay, so um, that's kind of like me. There was like all the outward, 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 and then the mind is kind of saves you sometimes. It's the different one of the group. It goes like the whole group is all mutable or is all outward, and then here's the Mercury going. Whoa, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. I get a voice too, so that's probably good that there's a think feel here. So I like to think about that. All right, let's look at another one. Let's see. I can hear you shouting out. What are we shouting out? Trying to remember if we have. Well, let's look at. What's the other guy right now? Let's go into some of the villains. Let's see. Let's look at what's his name? Oh God, Bill Gates. I would think he wouldn't get along with himself real good, but he may be just arrogant and do it. Let's look at him. All right. He's got a Cancer rising. So we got Cardinal, and then we've got the Scorpio Sun and a Libra Mercury and Aries Moon. So we got Cardinal, and water, and then we got another Cardinal. Well, pretty cardinal and pretty air. So we've got, the cardinal rising, a cardinal Mercury, and a cardinal moon. So I think he's pretty headstrong his way, but then he's got that undertow of the sun being in Scorpio, a fixed sign. So it's pretty, how would I say this? Kind of slimily devious, deviously slimy. Uh, yeah. We've got that water, and then yeah, it's just, I'm trying to be positive. Um, it's just odd. Yeah, I don't think he likes himself. I think he falls short of what he knows he is inside or what he could be. I think maybe he's past all hope now. Why do I say that? Well, we've got this like wide trine. I mean, it's not anymore. I'd have to do the degrees because it's like 5 degrees sun, well, over to Uranus, and then um that would be closer. That would be anyway I was thinking over to his rising. That's a wide, it's like 21 degrees off. But anyway, by element. So it's kind of disconnected there. It's like he wants to be this humanitarian. He's showing to the world, but it's like false. You know, this is false because the sun is at Scorpio, which is an investigative and it wants to show what's true and show what's hidden. But then there's this rising sign that's pretending to be all nice and it's not. We've got this hidden Scorpio underneath this nice Cancer rising sign. So to me, that doesn't fly. And with Uranus of unexpected things there, right underneath, that just I would be I couldn't get far enough away from that type of energy. And then with that volatile moon, you know, Being in Aries, I know what the energy is like, a lot of that, but then having a moon there is very volatile. And then all of these, this tight, um, oops, this tight wedge he's got here, because remember, this is the vertex and a north node. We just have this real tight, wedge pretty much going on down here from his first part of his fifth house, all opposing the moon. So I don't think I think he's an arrogant bastard, by having that moon there, and then all this stuff. He's just like, well, no, this is how it is, and this is what I think, we got this moon over trining over to Uranus, bring this stuff, this sudden stuff. It's opposing Mars, it's opposing Mercury, by sign. It's opposing Neptune. Is better judgment. It's being opposed. It's in conjunct his sun, and that's just yucky. It's in conjunct Venus, and he's got Venus um, conjunct Saturn. So I'm gonna just get him off of there. So anyway, that does not seem like that combination gets along real well. So I don't think he really likes himself underneath. Let's do one or two more. Let's see. Let's look at this guy just because. Oh, I can't do it that way. I gotta go with the last name. Deep. Hold on. All right, Joe Biden. And just make sure you see this. Sag rising, sun. Look at, and then all of this stuff over here in Scorpio right above it. Whoa. Whoa. And then where's his moon? Moon's over here in just barely in Taurus. That could be just at the end of that, but we'll just kind of work with that anyway. So we have masculine, feminine, feminine, feminine. So he's got this outward jovial Joe, outward side, but then he's got all of this stuff right there in his 12th house. Look at the conjunction of Venus sitting in Scorpio, right, next to his sun, real close to that. That's kind of creepy. And then Mercury there, and so he thinks about that underhanded, creepy stuff, and then Mars, is still in that scorpionic area, but then it's in the house of others, kind of leading that little pack right there above the horizon. All conflicting over there with this moon. I mean, it's out by sign. I mean, it's opposition by sign. But yeah, that's just sort of out of phase with that. It doesn't, that doesn't get along. So it's another arrogant kind of a sign. I mean, a kind of a grouping, I would say. We have this undertow of this scorpionic energy underneath this outer exterior, and then underneath that is a Taurus moon, but underneath that it could be real late Aries. So there's a mixed bag on this one. I think this is another arrogant entitled kind of personality here. All right, let's see what else we got. I'm just trying to think. I'm drawing a blank of some other people. I don't know if I have him in there. Let's see. Let's do who's just like another famous. How about what's his name? The Rolling Stones guy, Mick Jagger. Let's look at Mick Jagger. All right, Mick. Gemini rising. Taurus moon. Leo sun. And Leo Mercury. Well, the sun and Mercury getting along. There's the singing and an on stageness with the, that Leo energy. Look at me. Listen to me. I mean, it's you get this close conjunction of all these planets here next, sun, and then 2 degrees, 5 degrees, big Jupiter, you're right there next to, dark, creepy uh, Pluto, that's probably why they write about some of that crazy stuff, deep underworld of people and, sympathy of the devil. And, I was born from a toothless hag. Some of those lines he wrote about, right? Can't get no satisfaction. Maybe because Pluto's right there by your sun, boy. Okay, and then Mercury over there too. Look at close by, 10 degrees, and then the North Node. That's all piling up toward that North Node. That's where he's going to this big stellium here in Leo. Wow. Okay, so that's like him, and then that's all kind of gets along um, with. Well, we got a couple things going on. We've got this outward Yang rising, so that all gets along with that, right? It's like sextile, all that more or less, and then Mercury, and then his rising sign is like it fits right in the middle of Mercury, his voice, and the North Node. He's a singer for a living. Okay, cool. And then he's got this grounded moon, so that brings him. I think it was Trump had one of them too. It's like a grounded moon. Um, that just brings some sobriety. Oh no, that was Dylan that had that. That's right. I think he had it in Taurus as well. That's right. Yeah, so I think he gets along with himself quite well, this one. All right, I think we got time for maybe one or two more. I can do these all night, but I know it's kind of fun. I should have had a list of people. Now I'm drawing a blank of all the ones. I had a bunch in there, but then I just wanted to get some more. Let's see if there's any females up top of my head. How about see, I had a couple females. We didn't look at Britney Spears. Okay, I had her. I wanted to, because I thought she was, well, while I'm here, let me get this. I thought she was pretty troubled. Oh yeah, how about is she under here? Princess Diana? Is that one? No, it's not gonna be that way. Okay. Bunch of other princesses. All right, let's do, how about, what's a famous female? Oh, let's look at Hillary. Oh, we gotta do Clinton. Oops, that'd be a good one. Clinton, Hillary. Let's look at this. Can you share? See it. All right, Scorpio rising, Scorpio Sun, Venus, and uh, Mercury. Wow, and South Node. Whoa, whoa. Okay, so what you see is what you get with her, and she's just underhanded. And then we got the moon over there in nebulous Pisces, so she doesn't want to believe that she's as wrong, or um she's confused. She can lie to herself, with the moon in Pisces there like that, that can believe untruths, lie to herself. Oh yeah. And I think she likes herself. I think she gets along with herself. She doesn't. This one like has no shame. It's another entitled chart with that moon, over to all of that scorpionic energy there. And not that Scorpio's bad, but it is, investigative underneath it, and she was a lawyer, but she was for lawyer for bad people, getting them off. And then there's all that other stuff. So and look at, it's all piling up by her. It's all going to her south node. So her life is not over yet, but look at that stuff's all piling up there. And then Jupiter is close by, but it's in the next sign. It just like didn't, it was creeped out, but it wanted to be away from all that. It's funny. But look at that, all that stuff is square, all of this stuff up here. Look at, her Saturn, Pluto, and Mars, like, all the malefics. Look at that, right together. Look at Saturn. I mean, Pluto and Mars conjunct in Leo. Oh my goodness. Ah, oh, I would run with that. And that's, look at that squaring like perfectly over there to Venus. Yuck. Yuck. And then look at Saturn is squaring with Mercury. That's that mind, that's like she's just gonna sting you, she's gonna F you, she's gonna go after you right there. Look at that. Oh, let's get this one out of here. let's end with a good one here. Let's just try to find, let's see, what's it would be a good one. Find somebody nice or peaceful. Oh, is there's a Dalai Lama in there? Dalai Lama? Dalai. I have to do it. Okay, can't remember that. Um, let's see, what else can we do? Somebody peaceful. Um, somebody promoting good things. Do we have? Well, I know we have. Let's see. Do we have? Um, do I have Tucker Carlson in here? Carlson. Let's see. I know the other computer. Let me see if he's this way. Tucker. Oh no, he's in my other computer. All right, who else? How about Joe? I don't. Do I have Joe Rogan in here? Oh, Billy Joel. That'd be interesting. Billy Joel. Let's look at him. A big shot. Got to be a big shot, don't you? All right, Cancer rising. Um, Mercury in the air sign in the Gemini. So we got Yang, Yin, and then where's his moon in Yang? So a little bit of both. All right. So his sun and his rising are kind of the same. I mean, he was pretty upfront with what you saw. He was a singer, piano player. The New Jersey guy, whatever. Right, right. So his son, that Taurus, real earthy, down to earth, and writing about real life stuff and caring about that kind of stuff. So that gets along. That's image projected there. Busy mind, piano player and a singer. The Mercury in Gemini. Yeah. And then the moon over and commanding other people oriented Libra. I'd say he got along with himself. And then we got the moon and the rising, square, but that drives him, and the energy that made him do that, made him hang in there with all that. All right, very good, very good. So look at the charts and people. You can even just look up, if you know somebody's birthday, you can look up, get 3 out of 4 of these pretty much, from your ephemeris. You may not know the ascendant, but you can still get the flavor of that, and then you can sometimes guess the ascendant. What's the persona they're showing to the world there. All right, I hope this helps, and more to follow. See you all next week. All right, bye for now.